With the right side, the cutter to Hardy for the throwdown. A senior day to remember for Grant Hardy with an
March-like day outside, it's a top 10 battle inside the Shirk Center in Bloomington, Illinois for the second game of the Jack Sikma Invite. Second-ranked Wisconsin-Platteville and number 9 Calvin. I'm Matt Sossler alongside Eric Stock. Eric, these are two teams that made the Elite Eight in last year's tournament. Platteville losing in heartbreak fashion in overtime to the eventual national champions Shrine. Calvin succumbing to Trinity in the Elite Eight. The winner has Illinois Wesleyan, who handled Cal Lutheran in the opener. The loser will take on the Kingsmen in the first game tomorrow. But Eric, it's the first week of the season. This is going to be an exciting game.
Yeah, no question. To both teams with unfinished business from last year, as you said, coming so close. A lot of key players back from both of those teams. Of course, there is one key absence on the Calvin side that I'm sure we'll talk about as the night goes on in Jalen Overweight, but there's still a tremendous amount of talent on this team, and both these teams with high hopes for the season, but wanting to avoid a blemish in the opening weekend.
Good evening. For the starting lineups, let's send it down courtside.
For Game 2 of the 2024 Sikma Hall of Fame Invitational, sponsored by former Jack Sikma teammate and three-time first-team Academic All-American Dr. Bob Spear. Our second contest tonight will feature the Calvin College Knights and the Wisconsin-Platteville Pioneers. Calvin College is coached by Bill Saul in his 6th season at his alma mater with a record of 92-34. Coaching the Pioneers in his 16th season at his alma mater with a record of 250 wins and 141 losses, Jeff Gard. And now let's meet our starters. First, for the Knights of Calvin, 6'4" and a senior from Huntley, Uchenna Egaketa. 6'5" and a junior from McBain, Michigan, number 1, Trevin Winkle. He's 6'6" junior from Muskegon, Michigan, number 3, Owen Bernardo. 6'3" and a junior from Caledonia, Michigan, number 5, Luca Ressler. And a 6'4" junior from Holland, Michigan, 14, Trip Ramirzma. The Knights are coached by Bill Saul. And now for the Platteville Pioneers. 6 even and a senior from Madison, Wisconsin, number 5, Ben Probst. A 6'4" senior from Kimberly, Wisconsin, number 14, Logan Pearson. 6 even and a senior from Cuba City, Wisconsin, 20, Brady Olson. The 6'4" junior from St. Charles, 21, Max Love. And the 6'8" junior from Waunakee, Wisconsin, 42, Joey Bierman. The Pioneers are coached by Jeff Gard.
The starting lineups from Shirk Center and two great coaches in this game. Platteville led by Jeff Gard. If that name sounds familiar, his younger brother of Wisconsin men's basketball coach Greg Gard, and there's a lot of common traits between Platteville and Madison. We'll get into those later in the broadcast. Calvin is led by Bill Saul, the record of 92-34 at the helm of the 9th-ranked Knights. Jeff Gard in the Sweet 16 picked up his 250th win, leading the Pioneers. And Eric, before the ball goes in the air, we got to talk about the reigning National Player of the Year, Logan Pearson, back for another campaign after many thought he'd be playing at a higher level.
Yeah, 23 points per game last year, a prolific scorer, a great rebounder, a 40-40-85 guy. His splits, just a tremendous scoring threat.
Joey Furman and Owen Varnado in the center circle, and it's the Knights winning the tip-off in Game 2 of the Jack Sikma Invite. Uchenna Agakeza lands the point for Calvin. Under some trouble down low is Varnado. Gets a spin move denied immediately by Joey Furman out of the gate.
Good clean block, kept his feet set, didn't buy the fake, and able to stick with it and get the rejection.
Furman not even in the top 3 in blocks for the Pioneers last year as Calvin retains possession, looking to strike first. Luca Ressler, the Caledonian, Michigan native, defers to Trip Reersma. Agakeza seeks the paint and is denied with 2 on the timer and gets nothing but air. So here's where the Pioneers and Logan Pearson go to work, and right away, an assist from Pearson. Furman with the 2. Agakeza tightly guarded by Brady Olson, one of the highly praised defensive players, and he draws the charge for Platteville.
Another great defensive series by Platteville, getting the block earlier in here, accepting the charge.
And Agakeza is not a guy that Coach Saul wants to see in foul trouble early again. They're going to be without Jalen Overway not only tonight, but for the rest of the season. And so Agakeza is their other All-American who keeps this team afloat. Furman, who has the only 2 for Platteville, defers out. Olson, tray ball, leaves it wide. Calvin working the perimeter, and a 3-ball from Winkle goes. Winkle shot 42.6% from deep last year and makes his first of this year. Pearson jump stop. Furman can't handle the basketball, throws it off, and it finds eventually Luca Ressler. Calvin going for their second lead of the night. As it's Ressler up top. Varnado, his 3 goes. So Calvin, 2 for 2 from deep, 1 from Winkle, and 1 from the Michigan native Varnado.
More success from the outside, not relying on that inside-out game that they had so much in the past with Overway being gone. They tried inside the first 2 trips, no success. Here they stay outside and they get 2 3-balls.
Furman down low, denied by Winkle. And that was a point of emphasis from Coach Saul. He talked with Wesleyan alum Bob Quillman prior to this game on the QCast, and when asked how do you make up for the absence of Overway, it's we have to work the ball around the perimeter. We have to give guys more touches to make the offense flow. Speaking of making the offense flow, it's Pearson, and he walks. So a bit of a rocky start for the reigning National Player of the Year. as Calvin has an early 4-point lead, almost 3 minutes expired. The Knights a perfect 3 of 3 from deep, so we continue to see them work the arc. Wrestler to Riersma. Bulldoze is down and they call a block. That is on Pearson, his first.
And we'll see if their success from the outside could potentially open things up underneath, or at least give some space for Igakeze in a mid-range game.
So right out of the gate, the star guards on each side have one foul. Igakeze back into the game after he checked out momentarily, and an offensive foul called on the Knights.
And on Luca Wrestler, his first of the team's second on the Knights.
Platteville scoreless the last 2 minutes and change after striking first. Olsen on the baseline to Bristol Lewis. 10 to shoot. Downstairs working and unable to get it to go with the left hand is Miles Hedinger.
Oh,
and on the other side, Calvin throws it away. So down low, Platteville has also dealt with some losses. So you're going to see a little bit of an expanded role for Fearman and Hedinger for the Pioneers over the course of not only this game, but this season. Up top, a three, and Hedinger leaves it wide.
Well, they're going to give him that shot. He was 31% from deep last year, and Coach Garda said he's not a two-man. Sometimes he feels he is. They'd like to see him take less of those.
Attacking the rack, off the top of the backboard, and unable to get it to fall is Winkle. And so following a slight offensive barrage early, both teams have settled down. And the drive unsuccessful from Max Love, and the finish is good from Hedinger.
That's where they want him, down underneath, as he was able to clean that one up and get the putback.
6'7" junior out of Stewartville, Minnesota. So back to a one-score game. Vernado says not so fast. Shot 37% from deep last year, and Calvin a perfect 3 of 3 from behind the arc. Leading by 5. 5 minutes gone. Hedinger on the drive, picked off by Igakeze. Has space ahead, pulls up from the free throw line, draws the foul.
Yeah, nice job of initiating that contact as he sort of leaned into him, then took a step back after the whistle came. And both teams with a couple of the subs coming in, new players here at the 15:05 mark of the half.
Logan Pearson back in after he sustained his first foul early. Aiden Wazorek also checking in, the Huntley, Illinois native, 6'3" junior. 91 career rebounds. Also a handful of new players for the Pioneers, including Parker Swartz, who can't get the corner three to go. And getting it to go from the top is Ty Horkey, one of the many transfers for Coach Saul's squad. Horkey, formerly the Kalamazoo College product, so an in-conference transfer going from Kalamazoo to Calvin, just up the road from Kalamazoo to Grand Rapids, and the first basket in quite some time for Platteville, a three-point field goal.
And settling for a long-range shot there. They've been unable to get into any kind of offensive flow.
So Platteville able to slice it down to a 5-point game. Parker Swartz, Vernado back to the basket, goes to work and has it ripped out from Miles Hedinger.
A nice job of keeping his feet set and not buying in the fake and ending up taking the basketball.
Cross-court pass, another three, and this time leaving it just shy is Ben Probst. Contact underneath between Igakeze and Pearson. No matter which way this falls, it's a critical foul. It's the second on whoever the guilty party is. Not even halfway through the first half. And it's Pearson.
Yeah, big deal, certainly.
We could be here all night if I list off his accolades.
Yeah, he's been an incredible player for them, and to have him out, we'll see how Coach Gard manages this, how long he keeps him out of the game. For an offense, it's already struggling to find its sink.
Platteville 3 of 9 from the floor. Pearson scoreless in this contest, obviously is dealing with the fouls. Calvin tries to expand their lead. Spinning around is Winkle, waits just a tad long, and he'll head to the line. Where he shot 80% last year. Foul on Love, his first, team's fourth. Winkle played in all 30 games last year, gets the first. As the Titans look on, and one can make the argument that for them it's a disadvantage that Pearson's in foul trouble early. They'd like to see him on the floor for as long as possible should Platteville win this ball game.
Yeah, I'd like to get a good book on him if they got to face him tomorrow.
You can say the same for Cal Lou. Whoever draws the Pioneers is at a bit of a disadvantage for games 3 and 4 tomorrow night. Pioneers trail by 7, and Furman, who's been the force offensively for him, gets the roll.
Yeah, great footwork and a tremendous shooter, 70% for the floor, getting a lot of high percentage looks last year.
4 points for the Waunakee, Wisconsin native. And another 3, this time off the rim from Winkle, but a second chance opportunity for Calvin. Mearsma along the baseline. As they continue to work the arc. And this time coming away with the steal with plenty of hardwood ahead is Probst. Puts on the brakes and runs into trouble, taken away by Winkle. Tripper Mearsma to another transfer, James Felton, who traverses down low. Felton, one of the many bodies expected to make up for the absence of Jalen Overway. As it's knocked out of bounds, it'll stay on this side. James Felton, the Davenport University transfer, a Division II program, a graduate student out of Lansing, Michigan. Those of you just joining us, the star for Platteville, reigning player of the year, Logan Pearson, has 2 fouls and has only played 4 minutes, nearly 8 minutes expired in this contest. A missed look from Ty Horkey, and Platteville with a chance to make this a 1-score game. Probst on the drive, gets the foul, but not the basket, so he'll head to the line for a pair.
Nice dribble drop by Probst. They've struggled to the half court, but when they've been able to get out on the open floor after takeaways and missed opportunities, they've had a little bit more success, and Probst there forcing the issue and getting to the free throw line.
Dale Wyack, honorable mention from a season ago, shot 86% from the charity stripe, nails his first.
Part of a veteran lineup, one of multiple fifth-year seniors on this Platteville team. Guys are going back to the COVID year, getting their first college experience.
And 2 free throws, pure. And with the way last season ended for Platteville, you'd expect guys to come back. They led by double digits with under 2 minutes to go against the eventual national champions, Trine. And Trine came back, game went to overtime, and they were sunk on a Cortez Garland buzzer beater to send Trine to the Final Four.
Yeah, missed 3 free throws down the stretch. Of course, any one of them would have led to a victory.
And they trail early to number 9 Calvin, a top 10 matchup in the Jack Sikma invite. Up top, Felton, too much.
Nice look, though.
Averaged 5.5 points for Davenport a season ago. 10 to shoot for Bernardo. Looks for the lane, defers out. In-out action, stripped away, it stays with 5 on the timer.
Really nice defense by Olsen.
2 in, 2 out for the Knights. Dane Harvey checks in, the Ada, Michigan native, 6'3", 205, a senior. 8 minutes a game last year, but like many of his teammates, seeking an expanded role this year. 3 ball goes from Luca Ressler.
Well, they continue to be exceptional from beyond the arc here tonight. 5 threes now.
5 of 8. Ettinger on the spin move has his pocket picked by Ramirzma. And Calvin with a chance to go on a miniature run to extend their lead. Their largest was 8 points at 12-4. That came back at the 14-minute mark in this first half. 3 from Felton leaves it shy. He's 0 for 2 from deep. Tapped out of bounds, saving it, but not enough gas on the inlet from Probst, and Calvin retains. So Winkle checks back in. He's their second leading scorer tonight with 5. Downstairs, an area that Calvin has yet to operate much tonight, and Winkle gets it to go.
Well, you got to respect the kick out now.
It's the first points in the paint for the Knights tonight. Probst up top, with his team trailing by 8. Outlet pass, 3 from Olsen, too much. So the Knights going for their first double-digit lead of the evening. Trying to get ahead early while Platteville star Logan Pearson sits with 2 fouls. Downstairs drive, charge called. Probst getting in the way of a driving Ramirzma. That's the first on the Holland, Michigan native, the Saginaw Valley State transfer.
Yeah, nice effort there by Probst. Clearly at his feet set there. Good call.
Calvin with 5 fouls. Platteville with 4 halfway through the first. Long 3 from Love. Leaves it strong.
Right, they're settling for some low percentage shots.
Platteville 1 of 6 from deep, and an air ball from the corner off the hands of Parker Schwartz. The door is ajar for the Pioneers. Furman down low and stripped away from Harvey. Quick moving action downstairs, back up top, and the 3 can't go. Miss from Winkle. So Winkle 1 of 3 from deep today. And some contact down low before the shot. They wave the basket off as Furman was shoved to the ground.
I believe it's on Schwartz. Yeah, the sophomore picks up his first and the team's 5th.
The Ohio Dominican transfer, 4 transfers on this Calvin squad. Again, the transfer portal in college hoops, no matter what level, is chaos. Part of the reason why teams such as Platteville and Illinois Wesleyan are fortunate to have their nucleus back following a year in which they fell short of expectation. Arc 3, splash. Zoric makes it a 5-point game and a timeout called with 9 minutes to play in the first. So similar to the first game we had, it's the underdog per se, the lower ranked team racing out and the higher ranked team clawing back towards the midpoint.
Well, and you wonder how Coach Gard is going to manage this in a situation where the offense has really struggled. They hit that 3 there. It's been a low-scoring enough game that they can hang around doing that, but you wonder how long before they decide it's time for Logan Pearson to come back into the game, because you can tell their offense does not have the same kind of openings that they do when he's out on the floor.
And Pearson the last 3 years has played 77 games. He's been held in single figures only 11 of those times.
And you would suspect foul trouble, probably the main reason in most
Yes.
of those games. It'd be a game like this.
However, one of those was against Calvin in the postseason of 2022. So the Pioneers and the Knights with some stars in foul trouble as the reverse layup goes from Winkle.
Yeah, he leads them with 9 points tonight.
Thurman up top. Back to a 7-point lead for Calvin as Max Love kisses the toe of the rim. St. Charles North product, so back playing in his home state. And an offensive foul called on Platteville. That's the third offensive foul called on the Pioneers tonight.
On the Knights, on Vernado, his first and the sixth on the team.
For the Knights, Ben Probst. Pioneers, along with fouls.
I got
So
Probst
Hedinger,
back in.
yeah. Hedinger and Probst check in.
Well, Probst their leading scorer. Hedinger has a basket.
Zork with that 3-point field goal prior to the timeout. Platteville's in the bonus. A 3-ball from Probst. Can't tickle the twine. Contact down low. The officials play on. Shrugs from Platteville fans all over Shirk as the triple is too much out of the hand of Wrestler. Both teams have gone cold from deep, and there's no such thing as a broadcaster's jinx as Brady Olson tickles the twine. Prior to that, both teams won of their last 5. Olson's first points of the day. Shot 31% from deep last year. Driving down low is Winkle. He's stripped by Love. Platteville moving fast. One more time. Olson way wide.
A great ball rotation on that one, but just not the finish they wanted.
And Winkle responds with a miss.
Not a great shot early in the clock.
Pioneers slow it down. As Love, the all-WIAC player from a season ago, gets met at the rim but finishes with a second chance opportunity. Wrestler with the block, but good tenacity. And Platteville all of a sudden has made this a 2-point game and a timeout called by the Knights.
Yeah, Calvin a little sluggish on their last few possessions. It's been a comeback on the defensive end largely for Platteville as they still have fewer than 20 points with 6:46 to go.
Calvin's been scoreless nearly 2 minutes. And the Knights have led by as many as 8 points. It was a 19-11 lead at the 9:16 mark of this first half. Platteville's only lead tonight was following the Furman bucket to open the books. It's been all Calvin since, but now Platteville, keep in mind, without Logan Pearson, making this comeback to try and be as close as possible when you'd assume they get him back in the second half. We'll see how Jeff Gard decides to play his cards. But down 2 with 2 fouls to now your All-American, your National Player of the Year.
Not as big as they would be, of course, with Overway, but they've dominated on the boards 15-9 against Platteville here tonight. 5 rebounds from 6'5" Trevin Winkle.
Yeah, 4 points in the paint for Calvin. We'll emphasize Overway's absence a little bit more later on in the broadcast. As Ty Horkey is in a straitjacket. Agakeza down low. Hits every part of the rim and doesn't fall. And a jump ball, the arrow favors Platteville. Agakeza, second team All-American, the 28th player in Calvin history to reach 1,000 points last year.
Teammate of recent Illinois Wesleyan alum Ryan Soroka, who is now playing basketball at Division II Missouri S&T.
One of the many Titans to continue to wear green when their time in Bloomington is done. course, Jack Sikma wearing green for multiple teams in the association following his time in the Shirk. As Calvin forces a turnover, trying to expand their lead after it's almost been shrunk away by Platteville. A 5-0 run for the Pioneers. The Knights have been scoreless for the last 2.5 minutes, and that'll continue. Knocked out of bounds. It'll stay with red. Tripper Mearsma on the drive. Bierman and Love come back in. Ettinger and Olsen take a seat. Matt Sossler alongside Eric Stock. Game 2 of the Jack Sikma Invite. The winner has the host, Illinois Wesleyan. The loser takes on Cal Lutheran tomorrow night. 4 on the timer. 3 can't go. Too much out of the hand of Horkey. But a long carom gives another chance. Almost with the flush, Agakeza, but he's met way upstairs by Love.
A nice save there, too, by Probst. They're clawing back with defense, no question about it.
And a foul called away from the basketball. Brady Ewing, the sophomore from Petoskey, the guilty party. You take a look at that last sequence.
Yeah, great erasure there of Igakeze.
So Fairman at the line, shooting 2. Wasn't the best at the charity stripe last year, 43 and change. Makes the front end.
Calvin's now 3.5 minutes without a field goal as their lead is just about gone. Boy, Platteville has to love this with Pearson out to have nearly eliminated this deficit.
A split pair. And Calvin trying to find the bottom of the net after Coach Guard has solved the enigma. Going back to their roots along the perimeter. And a long 3 and much needed out of the hand of Ramiersma. His first points of the day. Division II transfer. Love can't reply. So in what might be a game of runs, Calvin tries to grow their lead. Wide open from up top and leaving it long is Ewing. Averaged just 2 points a game last year. Was 5 of 18 from beyond the arc.
Oh, looked at backdoor it, but it got kicked, and that's a break for Platteville. That would have been a layup.
Brady Olsen checks back in for Platteville. Olsen with 3 points. 3 Pioneers have 5 points, leading the way for Platteville. And it's Trevin Winkle ahead of the pack for the Knights. Driving down, rejected by Furman. Harvey met at the point of attack, and Platteville trying to turn defense into offense, and getting a hand on it was Ramiersma on the 3-ball attempt from Probst.
Yeah, Furman was boxing out, otherwise he would have had the easy layup.
And Furman fouls Agakeza on the other side. So we've seen some high-octane physical basketball over the last few minutes.
Yeah, terrific block there by Furman to set up the break. They couldn't capitalize on the other end.
4 blocks for Platteville, 3 for Kelvin as Agakeza heads to the line. He's achieved in many areas. The free throw line was not one of them last year, just 61.5%. And makes the first.
Done work, good work keeping him in check. 0 for 3 from the floor before his first free throw there.
Yeah, looking at last year's game, Platteville almost a carbon copy so far. Egekeza in their contest last year was 0 for 5 from the floor. And obviously with Overway available last year in the Christmas tournament, that's a much different equation to solve. But we're seeing a similar result tonight. Bristol Lewis, the East Moline native, in a landmine, and the free throw line jumper goes. So back to a 4-point game in the waning minutes of the opening half. Calvin, 37.5% from deep as it's taken away. Hardwood ahead, and Love goes up and under. Follow unsuccessful from Bristol Lewis. And now it's Calvin and Egekeza finishing with the left hand. Four points for Egekeza today. And back to a 6-point lead for the 9th-ranked Knights. An offensive foul called, and the Knights are loving it.
Yeah, away from the ball, and they've been able to extend this lead after Platteville almost erased it entirely. And the foul on Probst is first.
Calvin led by as many as 8. Platteville sliced it down to 1, and the Knights have grown it back to 6. Platteville's only led once. It was a minute and change into the ball game. Wrestler along the baseline, blocked by Furman. Second chance opportunity for the Knights, and unable to finish is Ramirzma.
Furman with those long arms, he's been tough to get around.
On the offensive side, unsuccessful. You'd expect naturally a high field goal percentage from Furman. It was last year, nearly 70%. Today, 2 of 4 from the floor. 90 seconds until halftime. Long 2. Not enough. And a foul called on the rebound. And over the back called on Winkle. That's his second. Or they actually called it to Ewing, still his second. Coach Saul not too thrilled with that call as Fearman heads to the line, where he's 1 for 2 tonight.
Good field goal shooter, high percentage, but only 43% at the line last year.
Misses the front end of the 1-and-1, and Calvin gets the rebound. And a foul called.
This is on the screen.
And that's been the thorn in the side on both sides.
And the second one on Parker Schwartz.
So foul trouble starting to become a factor more for Platteville in terms of quality, more for Calvin in terms of quantity. Knights with 3 players with 2 fouls as the 3 goes from Ben Probst. He's got 8 points. He's 2 for 3 from deep. Back to a 3-point game we go as the Platteville bench is ignited. Downstairs, Felton against Furman. No answer, and Platteville has an opportunity to tie shot clock differential of a second. Another tray, we're even. All without Pearson, and we have learned nothing as Calvin tries to head into the locker room with even the slightest of an advantage.
Just a couple of shots in the final minute, erasing what was a tremendous first half for Calvin.
Turnover, and the buzzer wins the race against Furman on the fast break. But a 6-0 run to end the first half from the Pioneers. Logan Pearson, just 4 minutes of action with 2 fouls, and his teammates picking up the slack, making this a brand new ball game as we head into half number 2.
Yeah, it should be a tremendous second half as we see 2 of the top teams in Division III basketball, and even with Overway out, for Calvin still to be recognized as a top 10 team, knowing that they would be without him this season is an indication of just how good they are. So even with the Stars not out tonight, a tremendous game between 2 Division III powers.
You mentioned the polls. We'll take a quick timeout. On the other side, we'll be joined by 2 guys who have a big influence on the National Division III landscape in terms of the rankings. The DataCast, Matt and Zach Snyder on the other side, tied at half between Platteville and Calvin on IWSports.com.
OSF Healthcare Cardiovascular Institute has been named one of the top hospital systems in the country for heart care. This prestigious award by the American College of Cardiology comes from our commitment to providing the highest quality of care, from general cardiology to complex surgeries and the latest technology. Nationally recognized heart care right here. OSF Healthcare Cardiovascular Institute.
Halftime at Shirk Center, knotted at 28 between Calvin and Platteville. Matt Sossler alongside Eric Stock, and our halftime guests from the D3 DataCast, Matt and Zach Snyder, sporting their Calvin attire in a pivotal game for the Knights. And let's get your reactions on that first half in a tie game.
2 teams in the national conversation this year as last year, both getting after it defensively, trying to figure everything out in the first half of the first game here. Just really fun atmosphere, really fun event, and ready for another exciting second half here too.
Platteville doing it for the majority of the half without the reigning player of the year, Logan Pearson. How do you think that's going to change when he comes back in the second half?
Yeah, I think that's a huge story for the first half there. You know, Logan Pearson just playing 3 minutes and on the bench. So I think it's really got to change your expectation for what the second half looks like. That gives them another option. Scoring's been hard to come by, and it's big for them to be able to get their All-American, maybe a player who's possibly the favorite for National Player of the Year back on the court in the second half.
The Pioneers 10 of 25 from the floor, Calvin at 9 of 32, so it's been a defensive battle, you could say. But let's take a look at the national picture with 4 ranked teams in this invite. Illinois Wesleyan, you could say, with a convincing win in Game 1 over Cal Lutheran despite the late clawback from the Kingsmen. What are your thoughts on the Titans?
Yeah, the Titans look good. I think the comment I've been hearing all around the arena is the Titans are big. I think that's not new for them this year, but they looked great. I think the Cal Lutheran was able to pull it back a little bit, but I don't think that game was really as close as the final score. So a really big win for Illinois Wesleyan to make a statement in the first game against another ranked team. It probably feels great to be them right now.
When you have a tournament like this, I wanted to get to the changing format for how we are evaluating teams in their postseason resume. We can get into the weeds if you wish. Do you see, because that's what you do. But How do you think that will impact scheduling for coaches moving forward, because this is a danger zone to open up your first weekend 0-2 against two elite teams. Are you concerned that teams are going to be hesitant in the future?
Yeah, I think that's I know a concern some coaches have with uncertainty of what the national selection and tournament seeding and bracketing is going to look like in this new world where we now have the NCAA Power Index choosing it. But I think what it comes down to is for coaches who know they have really good teams, regardless of what that system is going to be in place, they know they're going to need a certain number of games that they really get a challenge, to challenge their team, to test their team. And so I feel like, maybe that ends up being, one or two more games, like depending on how they feel like that balances. But I feel like to some extent there's always going to be a need and a desire for coaches to be at events like this and other events around the country just to get that measuring stick, give them a picture of, hey, if they are able to advance to the national tournament, what is another tournament team going to look like? What is it going to be like to face them?
I have to imagine that someone's going to figure out how to crack the code, and I can imagine a school like, Calvin would figure that out. So do you really see any measurable impact in the way schools are going to do it differently?
You're still, like Zach said, you're still looking for those good wins. This new system, as with the old system, you could be in danger of scheduling too difficult and get yourself too many losses. I think that's real. But you're still rewarded. There's still a quality win bonus out there. You're still rewarded for playing other good teams. I think if you think you're a team that's in the national picture, you need to be scheduling maybe not every single game, but you need to have weekends like this where you're playing other top teams from around the country, and that's going to help you get into that tournament picture as well. So tournaments like this are still great, and I think they will remain great in the future as well.
And this weekend, unfortunately, someone's got to go 0-2. Yeah. How loud is the alarm bell for that team should they not win their conference?
I mean, from an NPI perspective, which we're just learning about this year, it's dangerous to lose 2 games. I think that's true. But you're going to be tested. So the team that comes out of here 0-2 is still going to be a force to be reckoned with in their conference, and they're going to still have that opportunity to win the Pool A bid. And I think ultimately at this point in the year, it's still about getting better, and you're still looking forward that league championship, that automatic bid into the tournament, and that's going to still be out there.
From what you've seen regarding Calvin, how has this team managed the situation of losing Overway and knowing going in that they were going to have to find another way to replace their MOP?
Yeah, I think we saw it in the first half that the offense is a little bit of a work in progress. But this has been a good defensive team for reasons in addition to having a 6'10", 250-pound big man in the middle, and I think we saw that continue as well. So I think the offense will be a little bit of a work in progress. They'll have to work things a little bit different. You don't have the bailout of being able to dump the ball into the big man and let him do his thing. But I think we're already seeing some people step up, and it's going to look a little bit different. I think Trevin Winkle was really good in that first half. And so we'll see. It'll be a work in progress, but I think what we saw on the defensive end is really what they're going to have to hang their hat on. And that's something they've shown in the past and shown so far that it can be a real strength for them this season.
And in this national tournament preview, I got to ask, your national championship pick, your Final Four pick, is that team in this building?
For me, Platteville was a team that I had right at the top of my top 25 ballot, so they were a team I was interested to see this weekend. Coming in here tied with Calvin at halftime, I think that's maybe a scoring margin we sort of expected in that range. So it could be one of these 4 teams. Who knows? I would not be shocked to see a team like this, at least, in the Final Four.
Well, and I have to ask, this is not a CCIW game, but you're on our turf, so I have to ask regarding the conference that some have tried to suggest is not as strong this year because there is not the same degree of returning key players that we tend to see from year to year. Illinois Wesleyan, of course, has a bunch. Carthage has a bunch. A few others do. But how would you size that up with only one team in the top 25 at this point?
Yeah, I think Illinois Wesleyan enters the season as a little bit more of a known. I think there is the possibility but it's a little bit more of a wait and see maybe with Carthage. That possibility exists. Some good players coming back. I understand some transfers coming in, but it's maybe a little bit more of a wait and see. I think similarly with Elmhurst, they've been a really good program for a number of years, so there's at some level some trust in just the program in general, but a little bit of wait and see. I could very well see a second CCIW team entering the mix. I think it was a very good debut for Illinois Wesleyan to confirm that there's a lot of reason for high expectations and high hopes for the season. And then beyond that, I think it's wait and see. Historically, there has been at least a second or third CCIW team. I don't know it's necessarily clear that that's the case as you're looking at a top 25 picture, but it's a little bit more wait and see for me, and I think Matt agrees with that too, as the actual top 25 voter of the pair of us.
And the depth of the league is always there. Even if it's not number 1, number 2, number 3 conference like it sometimes is, it's still a really, really good conference, right? And so I think from that national perspective, the depth is still going to be there. There's still going to be some great teams, and we're always going to be surprised that one of those other teams that you didn't mention could pop up there and challenge the top half of the league.
Yeah, last year was kind of a weird year where the Titans finished 19-8, but their conference record actually hurt them a little bit, even though they had won the league. The strength of schedule wasn't where it typically was because they had a sub-500 non-conference record for the first time in like 40 years. So we're hoping that that's not the case again this year. Are there lastly, any sort of national storylines that the casual Division III basketball fan should be paying attention to in the first couple of weeks of the season?
Yeah, we've been talking about NPI. That's a big one, seeing how the landscape shapes up. And then this kind of being the last true year of that fifth year for players, that COVID option, how that has affected the landscape, and this being kind of the final season of that. What does that look like? I think that's something I've been watching as we progress into the season.
And back on into this contest, we're about 4 minutes from the start of the second half. Your keys to the second half, we'll go with Calvin.
Well, I think Calvin's going to win this game on the defensive end. If they're to win it, that's where they're going to have to get it done. And I think it's really going to be whichever team is going to be able to keep it going from the outside. As I'm looking at the stats, the shooting percentages are not great. There hasn't been a lot of room to operate inside the arc. Actually, both teams are shooting a better percentage outside the arc. So if that's where the only room to be able to maybe get some shots up or to have a good shot at getting a shot go through, that might be where it comes from, and it's going to be whichever team is able to keep seeing some of those three-point shots go down.
Second half on the other side. My thanks to Matt and Zach Snyder, the D3 Datacast, one of the top coverage points for Division III basketball. You can find them on Twitter, on all social media. It's a great resource for everybody. Appreciate all you guys do for Division III, and enjoy the second half.
Thank you so much.
Thanks for having us.
And we love knowing that we can tune into an Illinois Wesleyan broadcast and get a really quality stream, so appreciate the work that you all do here.
Appreciate that. Second half on the other side. Knotted at 28 between number 9 Calvin and number 2 Platteville on IWSports.com.
Need tickets to that next event? Well, at 12 Ounce Sports, we've got them with soccer anywhere in the world. Tickets to any venue, any sport. Want to go to NCAA or NFL football matches? We've got them.
Yeah.
Baseball at every level. Every Power 5 matchup is available. Don't forget, costumes and paint are optional. What's that? You want to go to Broadway? We have those too. Want to jam out? Every concert, every artist. That's right, at 12 Ounce Sports, we've got the tickets for less. 12ozsports.com/tickets. That's 12ouncesports.com/tickets.
Why is Illinois Wesleyan the #1 school in Illinois for jobs? Maybe it's because we're the AND University. That's right, A-N-D. And here you can explore the arts and study in a pre-professional program, double major, and play a sport, do an internship, and study abroad. Your opportunities are endless. Set yourself apart with a degree from Illinois Wesleyan.
Berg drives one in the air to center field. This is down for a base hit. The Titans are going to win the ball game. Ethan Berg walks it off, and the Titans storm all the way back with 9 runs in their last 2 innings. They win it tonight, 13-12.
After only 4 minutes of action in the first half, the National Player of the Year, Logan Pearson, returns for the Platteville Pioneers in half number 2, tied at 28 between themselves and the 9th-ranked Calvin Knights from Shirk Center in Bloomington. Matt Sossler alongside Eric Stock. We just talked to the D3 data cast of Matt and Zach Snyder, giving us a great look into the national picture, along with Calvin from a micro perspective, considering all the unknowns for the Knights. But it was Platteville, a 6-0 run to end the first half, and you add another layer on with Pearson coming back.
Yeah, a game in which it looked like they were outplayed for the most part with Pearson out, but their defense kept them in it, and then just a quick surge at the end, those 2 3-pointers to tie it up, and they've been able to do that again without Pearson, but also the fact that they've been out-rebounded 24-15. They gave up 10 offensive rebounds. However, Calvin just did not shoot the ball well at all, only 28%. That was their downfall, and they also turned the ball over 12 times. Platteville had 9.
Trevin Winkle leads the way for the Knights with 9 points. On the other side, Ben Probst, the only man in double figures on either side, with 11 for Platteville. Calvin starts with the basketball as we have a whole new ball game. Can scratch it up and put it at 0-0 at the Shirk Center in Bloomington. Cutting is there. Keza, count it! And another on the house.
Well, great seeing eye pass and a great play scripted out of the halftime break, and a great look underneath to Egekeze, who, as we talked about before, has had slow starts against Platteville in the past, but got to look out here for these next 20 minutes.
6 points for the preseason All-American, going for the old-fashioned three-point play. A perfect 2 for 2 from the free throw line today. Make that 3 of 3. So just what the doctor ordered for the Knights, and now we get to see the Platteville offense really for one of the first times with their leading scorer in Logan Pearson. However, it's been Furman who's been the generator of the offense, and he's met with a rejection, and Calvin tries to start the second half the same way they did the first, where they raced out to an 8-point lead in the early stages. Luca Ressler loses the rock for a second. 10 to shoot. Agakeza loses his footing, and it's corralled by Probst. Game 2 of the Jack Sikma Invite. The winner gets Illinois Wesleyan tomorrow at 7. The loser plays at 5 against Cal Lutheran. Downstairs, Probst up and under and down.
Yeah, nifty move there by Probst to get the defender off his feet.
The Caledonia, Michigan native Ressler defers to the wing, and Vernado leaves it short. Olsen takes it up, and a foul called away from the basketball.
I think they're going to get Vernado with this one.
That's his third. Vernado last season was the team's third leading scorer, and amongst active returners, he's second. Averaged 9.4 points a game last year. So we'll have to see how Bill Saul manages that as we see the first points of the day from Logan Pearson.
First real touch he's had since the break.
Again, picked up 2 quick fouls in the first half, only played 4 minutes in the opening 20. Unable to find daylight is Ewing, but gets the loose carom. Long tray ball is off the toe of the rim from Luca Ressler. And another whistle call before the drive.
Yeah, Egekeze sort of stonewalled him.
That's his second. And Pearson, a season ago, averaging 23.1 points per game. Platteville with the early edge, and they extend it. Pearson with the three, and it just shows how a player of his caliber can reignite an offense that looked semi-lethargic in the first half. Elbow jumper hits every part of the rim and doesn't fall from Wrestler. Platteville shooting 4 of their last 5, make it 5 of their last 6, and Pearson with a miniature run of his own.
Kese caught backpedaling there, thinking he wanted a foul, but didn't get the whistle, but just unable to stick with the Logan Pearson.
Falling down is Winkle, gets the escape pass, and finishing is Luca Wrestler. Wrestler with 5 points today, back to a 4-point ball game. And another early whistle on this end of the court. A foul called against the Knights, and Platteville inbounded underneath. Ramirez's second foul, and the team's third already. Baseline J off the side of the backboard. Second chance opportunity for the Pioneers. Working down low and finishing off the toe.
Oh, nice
Miles
job.
Hettinger.
Nice job of carving out some space and using his size to get that putback now with 6 points.
The 6-7 product has 4 points tonight. Offensive foul called against Calvin. Agakeza with a shrug as he seeks an explanation. And that's Agakeza's third. So all of a sudden, the narrative flips sides. It was Pearson the talk of foul trouble in the first half. Now all of a sudden, Calvin's All-American is in foul trouble in the second half with his team trailing by 6. Pearson 1 assist away from his 200th career, as he can't hit the three. And stepping on the corner is Bristol Lewis, so Calvin gets it back. Parker Swartz checks in. Trip Ramirezma takes a seat. An 11-2 run over the last 3 minutes and 40 seconds for Platteville. And taken away by the Pioneers. Love, coast to coast, too much. Rebounded by Hettinger, it's knocked at the waist, rolls out of bounds, and it stays on this end. We've seen 10 combined blocks, 6 for Platteville, 4 for Calvin. Furman leads the way for the Pioneers, and Winkle on top for Platteville. Or check that for Calvin. Long arching inbound. Zoric, who has 5 points today. Loops it around. Pearson with room on the corner. Step back and unable to get it to fall. Bristol Lewis, second chance, unsuccessful. Corralled by Vernado. Calvin, 1 of their last 5 from the floor. Vernado tries to change that. The team's third leading scorer from last year. Bounce pass and the finish downstairs from Parker Swartz. His first points of the night. Zarek turns the corner and tipped out of bounds off of Swartz, so it stays with Platteville.
And we have a foul here against the Pioneers. It goes on to Pearson, so he gets his third after.
That's a big one. Also, slightly before, I was looking to see the near side official had an open hand, far side a closed fist, and the foul supersede in that situation. And the supersede is huge. Pearson with 7 points, all coming in the second half, and he'll take a seat for the moment. We'll have to see how long. Platteville with a 4-point advantage, so in dire straits to expand their lead as Calvin can turn it on with a snap of a finger. Renato downstairs. I got Keza with the finish.
Oh, threading the needle beautifully, the dish there from Barnado.
Renato with the assist as Keza has 9. Answer attempt for Platteville as Love goes around to Probst. Probst draws 2. His pocket's picked by Renato. A 4-on-2 if Calvin hurries, and denied by Hedinger. However, they call a foul on the follow-through, and so Parker Swartz will head to the free throw line for a deuce.
They got him pretty good. Hedinger, the second defender, coming in for the block. Yeah, it looked like it was clean up top, but
clean up top, not clean downstairs. A splash for Swartz. Grand Rapids native, so moving back to his hometown following some time at Ohio Dominican. Started 12 games for him last year. Again, a very transfer-heavy newcomer group for Bill Saul. Looking like a pretty cohesive unit in their first time out in legit action. They had a couple of exhibitions against Saginaw Valley State and Ferris State. But just like every other team in this building, first game that counts, and it's a big one, number 2 versus number 9. Long 3, splash from Love.
Well, if they get him going too, could be a long second half here for Calvin. His first basket, a guy scoring 13 a game a year ago.
Breaks up a 5-0 run for Calvin. Platteville back up by 4 and slamming it down, but not getting enough is Renato. Downstairs, Furman, count it, and the foul.
Yeah, the other end, Renato didn't have enough air underneath him as he went up for the dunk, and they were outnumbered on the other way back, and Platteville with a strong run here to get the lead up to 6.
First on Winkle. Furman has 7 points today. He opened the scoring for Platteville in the first half. Furman completes the 3-point play. We talked about this earlier, but him and Hedinger trying to replace the production of Brad Nice. They lost to graduation as Swartz will head to the line for another pair.
And first one on Joey Furman, now 4 on Platteville.
Yeah, Nice last year, 15.2 minutes per game, shot 54% from the floor. So you could say he was their true big last year, and similar storyline for both teams. A little bit more for Calvin, considering that Overway was their bailout, and whereas Platteville, you could say it was a little less of a critical role downstairs.
And one, of course, they were counting on for this year, but hope to have him back next.
Yeah, Overway had 16 double-doubles a season ago, most outstanding player in the conference.
And second foul on Wrestler. Had 6 on the Knights and 5 on the Pioneers.
And Pearson on the floor with 3 fouls. He's the only Pioneer with 3. So he gets it downstairs against Ramirzma. Up and under, and nifty move from Pearson.
Right, great sense of angle there for Pearson to go high off the glass, and the up and under going with a softer move, more finesse, trying to avoid a 4th foul.
He's got 9 all in the second half. Lead has grown to 7. It's Platteville's largest of the night, and they force a turnover on the other side. Bristol Lewis sprinting as the Pioneers pump the brakes. Furman down low. And they'll tag Vernado for the foul. That's number 4.
Yeah, there's some tough contact. There's some banging on both sides, and that's tough for the Knights. Vernado now with 4 fouls. And Fearman quietly having a pretty good night here, 8 points, and that gives him a little more room to operate underneath.
Makes the first. He's 3 of 5 from the stripe. Platteville as a whole, not a ton of time at the free throw line. 5 of 7.
And they got Pearson out of the game again, managing it well with his 3 fouls.
And a critical possession for the Knights. Trying to saw this back. 3 ball too much, and it rolls.
Wow.
Trevor Mearsma gets the friendly bounce. We're back to a 5-point game. Dangerous cross-court pass. And a straight jacket downstairs. Olsen completes the pass.
Yeah, timeout.
But a timeout called.
Yeah, clock was winding down, and they were getting in trouble there.
And Bristol Lewis realized his teammate was in a bit of duress. So, Eric, we're about halfway through the second half. Slight run for Platteville. Obviously, Pearson's 9 points has helped with that, but Calvin's done a good job at staying tight.
Yeah, they were able to weather that storm to an extent, and that 3rd foul could make a difference as they've tried to continue to ration his minutes down the stretch. But Calvin's still relying a lot on the 3-point shot, which was a boon to them early in the game, but they've cooled off a bit, and 7 of 19 from the floor. Despite that friendly bounce on the last shot, they're going to have to continue to shoot effectively from deep, something that they're going to have to rely on a lot more this year.
Calvin's 1 of 3 in the second half from deep. They were 6 of 16 in the first half. Matt Sossler alongside Eric Stock. Game 2 of the Sikma Invite. The winner takes on Illinois Wesleyan tomorrow. The loser faces off against Cal Lutheran in the early game. Top 10 matchup, number 2 Platteville versus number 9 Calvin. Falling on the drive is Olsen, loses the basketball, and the Knights take control.
Pearson out again. Looks like they're making offensive defensive subs for Pearson to prevent that 4th foul.
Something you rarely see at this juncture. Usually a strategy you'd see under 5 minutes. However, we've seen how much Pearson means to this team. And to have him tagged with a 4th foul, you essentially lose him. He can play, but he's playing with a lot of caution. No caution there, down low. And Winkle will head to the free throw line. Especially with how well Calvin has done attacking the basket and attacking certain players. Coach Gard certainly feeling that his star is in danger.
Yeah, he'd have a bullseye on his chest if he was out there now. And now Love gets the foul. That gives Winkle 2 free throws.
With that free throw, Winkle a perfect 3 of 3 from the line. Of course, Jeff Gard, the younger brother of Greg Gard, the successor in Wisconsin, or should I say Madison, to one of the newest members of the Hall of Fame, Bo Ryan. This being the Sikma Invite as Pearson finishes with the right hand. At 5, knocked out of bounds, hit Pearson last, so it stays with Calvin. And the Gard brothers have helped each other out in terms of recruiting. Transferred out, was a member of the program last year. Trey Hepburn, the brother of all Big Ten standout for Greg Gard, Chucky Hepburn, who's now at Louisville. So both Hepburns choosing to relocate this count it, and the foul from Winkle. So Winkle with an opportunity to bring us back to 2. Foul on Love, that's his third. So foul trouble is starting to become the front page of this ball game.
He's become a key go-to guy for this Calvin team down the stretch with Igakeze on the bench for the most part, though he's back out there now.
That's 2 all WIAC players for Platteville that have 3 fouls. Not to mention that as a 3 can't go, whistle blows.
Yeah, he got fouled to the shot. That's a rough closeout there.
Yes.
By Brady Ewing. That'll lead to 3 free throws for Probst, who knocked down a couple of big threes in this game at the end of the first half, a half in which Calvin, I think, had the upper hand for the most part, but those 2 free throws gave, or 2 threes rather, gave Platteville a ton of momentum going into the break.
Probst 3 of 3 from the free throw line. And going back to Love, not only that, but he was counted on a ton in the 45 minutes they played against Trine in the Elite Eight. He played 37 of them. And, of course, free throws, a huge emphasis in that contest. Platteville within a fingernail denying Trine a chance to play for the national championship in their home state. And unable to do so, and hoping to start off this campaign with a very quality win as Agakeza is fouled on the drive. Foul on Olsen, that's his third. So Coach Gard with a little bit of a science experiment halfway through the second half, trying to manage his stars.
Calvin's made 11 of 12 free throws in this contest. So they've shot the ball well at the stripe. Platteville, we mentioned how important it is for them, and they're at 73% tonight, 8 of 11.
Agakeza's 4 of 4. Yeah, Olsen, Pearson, and Love, each with 3 fouls. That's 2 of their top 3 scorers from last year. A team that returns all but 1. As Agakeza seeks the perfect pair to draw this back to a 3-point game. Too much, tapped around, and Love gives to Pearson. Knocked out of bounds, and it hit off of Probst' knee last.
Well, I wasn't sure anyone touched it at all, but either way, it goes back to Calvin.
Calvin's made 5 of their last 6 field goals. Agakeza puts on his hard hat, kick out 3, pure from Ty Horkey. He's got 6 today, and we're back to a 1-point margin. A foul called away from the basketball. Looks like they'll tag Ewing. Or check that, Horkey. And with that, you get Pearson at the line. With both teams in the bonus. Pearson's first trip to the line this season, shot 85% last year. Hits the front end. Second one falls. So some call and response action. As Harvey goes around to Horkey. Agakeza gets the one-on-one and finishes.
Boy, he just bullied his way underneath to get the position he wanted before dropping it in.
Kick out, Pearson, shot fake, and the finish.
Boy, that's beautiful. Great sidestep and fake, and 16 points for a guy who hardly played at all in the first half.
He's in double figures on the other end. The answer from Brady Ewing. So back to one we go, out of bounds. And it hit off a Harvey last, so it stays on this end.
We have seen more scoring from both of these teams in the second half at 11 minutes and 20 seconds than we did in the entire first half.
We're tied at 28, inbound, and a foul call trying to get his hand in was Harvey. And at this juncture, that means free throws.
Here we see the coaches from the first game who are scouting for their return game tomorrow night. Illinois Wesleyan plays the winner, and the losing team gets Cal Lutheran in the 5 p.m. game tomorrow.
Ron Rose and Russell White. First one rattles in and out. Titans victorious. And now, Eric, you got to ask the question. They've played each other the last couple of years, and at least in the regular season, Wesleyan and Cal Lu won't see each other. And given that both of these teams currently are ahead in the rankings of both these teams, do you think Coach Rose and Coach White are tag teaming on their scouts for tomorrow?
May very well be. May very well be.
Timeout called on the floor. Platteville with a 2-point advantage, 8.5 to play in this top 10 matchup. We'll take this timeout with them on IWSports.com.
Berg drives one in the air to center field. This is down for a base hit. The Titans are going to win the ball game. Ethan Berg walks it off, and the Titans storm all the way back with 9 runs in their last 2 innings. They win it tonight, 13-12.
A 59-57 lead for second-ranked Wisconsin Platteville against 9th-ranked Calvin in Game 2 of the Sikma Invite. Matt Sossler alongside Eric Stock. It's been a great battle. These teams have been tied at multiple junctures, including at 28 at the half. Mostly a half without the Player of the Year, Logan Pearson, due to foul trouble for Platteville. And even with Pearson notching 16 points in the second half, the Knights have kept it close.
Yeah, it looked like Calvin was on top for most of the first half, taking advantage of Pearson's absence. However, as Pearson comes back, he gives them some separation, and it looked as though they were poised to stretch this lead a bit, but now all of a sudden Calvin has found their offense. They've gotten hot after a long dry spell early in the second half, and they're now down only 2.
Calvin's made 8 of their last 9 from the floor. The winner will play at 7 o'clock tomorrow against the host Illinois Wesleyan. The loser will draw Cal Lutheran in the consolation final. Teams trying to avoid going 0-2 in a tournament that features 4 ranked programs. Agakeza turns it over, pleading his case for a foul. And now it's in the hands of Logan Pearson, driving and converting.
Such a terrific scorer, so fluid as well, now with 18 points.
So success for Platteville out of the stoppage. And a foul called as Horky had his pocket picked on the way up. Platteville is in the double bonus, so they'll shoot 2 the rest of the way. Calvin still in the single bonus.
Probst got that reach in.
And for Probst, that's just his second personal. Foul trouble is starting to become an issue on both sides. First free throw connects. Owen Vernado, the third leading scorer for Calvin, has 4. And Pearson, Olsen, and Love each with 3 for Platteville. Horky, who shot 79% last year, splits the pair. And a foul on the rebound that'll send the Pioneers to the free throw line. And Ty Horky, the Kalamazoo College transfer, scored in double figures, had 10 points last year against Calvin. It's always interesting to see an in-conference transfer because it's the notion of if you can't beat them, join them.
Yeah, you don't see that often in college basketball, and typically a good reason for it. There had been a long time, but that was sort of a
unwritten rule,
forbidden gesture to make, and some schools would not allow that. But, yeah, you do see that more common now, and transfer rules have certainly opened up a whole plethora of scenarios that we did not see not that long ago. Trevor Winkle, by the way, got that foul before those 2 free throws, put the lead up to 5.
Pearson a perfect 4 of 4 from the free throw line. And Platteville balloons their lead back to 5. Both teams' offenses have heated up over the last few minutes. And a 3-ball foul call, count it! And the foul.
That was worth it for Horky to stand up and take the fall off that pick and free up his teammate for that 3-point play, a chance for 4.
And now the officials are discussing. This is a big call. They'll count it with it. Now the question is if it's a 2 or a 3, given that the foul was away from the play.
Yeah, not a shooting foul.
Wait on the official call. That is pivotal. You take away the potential 4-point play.
And which came first, the whistle or the shot?
Take a look at it one more time. They put 3 on the board. However, that might not be the final verdict. It was a bang-bang play. The officials counted the basket initially, but again, there's been a lot of conferencing.
Foul after the shot.
And that's big, so that means the basket counts, and Horky gets a 1-and-1. So you mentioned a 4-point play. We could see a tie game when this is all through. One of the rare 5-point trips without a rebound. With Zoric the guilty party on the closing foul. And what was an 8-point lead for the Pioneers at the midpoint of this half has gone away. So buckle your seatbelts. Number 2 versus number 9. Tied again. Love wanted the long 3. Takes it downstairs. Probst, the tray. Too short. Agakeza crashes on the line. Deflected. And the Knights get it back. Sneak attack from Pearson. He ought to be careful with 3 fouls. And Agakeza has some space. Another and 1.
Boy, what a move. A 360 to the bucket.
Gyration Nation from the Huntley native. And add on the fouls on Probst. That's his 3rd.
It's been their first lead in quite some time. I want to say it was the end of the first half.
That'd be correct. First lead since 28-25. With the early run in the second half from Platteville. All-American on All-American. 3-ball from Love. Too much. So an insurance opportunity for the Knights. who have loved the three-point jumper. Bernardo can't get it. Pinball action, Agakeza in a collision course of white jerseys.
Oh, got a timeout.
And a timeout called by Platteville and Coach Guard. And Coach Saul asking for a much warranted explanation on when the timeout was called, considering the loose ball off of a Knights possession.
It did come quick.
It came just in time with Calvin leading 66-63. We'll take this timeout with them. The home stretch when we come back in this top 10 matchup on IWSports.com.
Why is Illinois Wesleyan the #1 school in Illinois for jobs? Maybe it's because we're the AND University. That's right, A-N-D. And here you can explore the arts and study in a pre-professional program, double major, and play a sport, do an internship, and study abroad. Your opportunities are endless. Set yourself apart with a degree from Illinois Wesleyan.
A 3-point lead for the Calvin Knights over the Platteville Pioneers. Matt Sossler alongside Eric Stock. Just over 6 minutes to play in this early top 10 matchup. First regular season game for both squads. And a pivotal game for when we look at the calendar in March.
It looked like Platteville was in good shape earlier in this half until Calvin found their offense, and they got Logan Pearson back. Platteville did 20 points in 15 minutes, but they're going to need to find some more offense here in the final 6:10.
Including an active 8-0 run. Platteville seeking success on the ATO. And not only do they get a missed three, but a foul downstairs on Furman. And both teams in the double bonus, so this may come down to a free throw contest. Calvin is 16 of 19 from the free throw line. Platteville 13 of 17, so both teams have shot it relatively decently. Owen Vernado playing with 4 fouls. His first trip to the charity stripe this year. Makes the first. Vernado shot 75% last year. Expands Calvin's lead to 4, trying to officially make it a 2-score game, and he does. Pearson spins around. Pioneers seek the perimeter jumper. Off the foot and out of bounds. Olsen played hot potato, and Calvin gets another shot with an active, not only a 9-0 run over the last 2 minutes, but an 11-2 run over the last 2.5 minutes.
Giving Probst a breather on the Platteville side.
Probst, 27 minutes today, leads the Pioneers in that stat. And given how fast we've seen both teams ignite their offense, Coach Guard certainly prepping for a 4-minute sprint and hoping that this game is still within reach at that juncture. Agakeza with 8 to shoot. Draws the double team, spins around, no problem. He's got 17, tied atop the leading scorers for Calvin with Winkle. And everybody else for the Knights has yet to reach double figures. Long 3, can't go, missing by mere inches. Is Bristol Lewis on the other side, connecting from the corner is Trip Ramirezma. Calvin has their largest lead, and Platteville is forced into a frenzy. Pearson gets knocked around down low.
He was trying to force the issue, and I think he got the call that he wanted, but might be upset about previous non-calls.
Agakeza was in the area. If it's on him, it's just his third. Actually, tagged Renato. That's worse news for the Knights. His day is done. Second player to foul out in the Sikma invite. Renato's day concludes with 8 points, 2 of 7 from the floor, 2 of 4 from deep, and a perfect 2 of 2 from the free throw line. Pearson gets the first. Devin Lewis fouled out for Cal Lutheran in our opener today against Illinois Wesleyan. Perfect trip for Pearson. He's 6 of 6 from the free throw line. Back to an 8-point game, but this has become a chess match between two veteran coaches leading two experienced top 10 teams in what could be a preview of a matchup in March. Agakeza with his hard hat on finishes.
Boy, he has just taken over this game. 15 points since halftime.
And he's 7 of his last 8. The guy that Coach Saul said to Bob Quillman, he's going to need to step it up this year and make up for what they've lost from Jalen Overway, a much-needed answer for the Pioneers. However, call and response won't work for Platteville at this point. Knights slow it down with 3.5 to play and an 8-point advantage. Ewing gets it sent back by Hettinger.
He's had good low post defense here tonight for Platteville.
Pearson leaves it wide.
Oh, they really needed that one.
Nearly out of bounds. Ramirzma. And a timeout called by Bill Saul, just trying to settle his guys down as this game heads to the home stretch.
Yeah, clock certainly on their side here in this instance with an 8-point lead, but after a frenetic couple of moments, they certainly want to calm things down and let the clock be to their advantage.
Calvin's currently riding a 17-4 run over the last 4 minutes and 49 seconds. Platteville led by 8 points, 48-40 at the 12:23 mark of this second half. The largest lead for Calvin was 10 points at the 4:10 mark just over a minute ago. Agakeza's taken over. He has 19 points. Winkle, who was the star of the first half mostly, he's at 17. Nobody else for the Knights in double figures. Pearson has already surpassed his season average from last year. He has 24, and to add on, all of those points have come in the second half. Only 18 minutes of work for the National Player of the Year. Probst has 16, and everybody else for Platteville is in single digits.
But amazingly, with those 24 points in 18 minutes, I suspect that his plus-minus in that time has not been on the plus side because they've fallen behind here in the second half, despite his tremendous offensive game tonight.
We were tied at 28 at the intermission. Platteville came out of the locker room firing, but it's been the Knights as of late. Game is never out of reach. Both teams have been in some heartbreakers and some nail-biters over the course of the past year. Luca Ressler commands for Calvin. And defers to Winkle. Trying to melt some clock. Corner three. Too short. And Probst with the rebound. And off the foot of Luca Ressler, so it stays with the Pioneers. We saw Cal Lutheran make a late push that was too little too late in game 1. Platteville hoping for a different result. Kick out straight away. Too much. Platteville 8 of 22 from beyond the arc, including just one of their last 6. A shot that they're definitely going to need to fall if they want to claw back in this ball game. Driving downstairs, critical call, and they say that Pearson's foot was in the area. That is number 4 on him. And Agakeza heads to the line. With 2 minutes left, that 4th foul, not a huge deal, but you could make the argument that with Pearson either conservative or if he picks up 5, that the nail is in the coffin.
Yeah, they've tried to do the offensive-defensive substitutions as the game has gone on. They may not have the luxury to do that as often as they would like down the stretch because they certainly need them on the floor.
Agakeza 5 of 6, make it 6 of 7. Second player in this ball game to reach 20 points. In the back end, splashes. So back to a double-digit lead for Calvin. 2 minutes to play. Platteville going for one last run. And Pearson can't finish. Ressler comes away with the loose rock, and Platteville's forced into the press. And the foul game. Love and Olsen in the area. And it's on Olsen. His day is through. That's his 5th foul. He finishes with 3 points, 1 of 5 from the field, and 5 rebounds. Brady Ewing at the line, his first. Goes. First free throw of the season for Ewing. And first of his college career. Did not attempt a free throw last year. And starts off with a split pair. Long ranger from Probst, and the lid has been placed on the rim for the Pioneers from deep. Down low, second chance can't fall. From Bristol Lewis, knocked out of bounds. And it'll stay on this end. And Eric, if you're Coach Guard, what are you drawing up? It's a fire drill at this point.
Yeah, obviously Pearson if you can. But he's certainly the one that Agakeza is going to have his eye on.
Lewis gets stripped, foul called, and we saw this in the first game where the last 3 to 5 minutes of the Wesleyan Cal Lutheran game was slower than molasses with a lot of the fouls, and if you're Platteville, that's certainly the recipe you want. You want to slow this game down and have it be won or lost in the free throw line.
Yeah, as many possessions as you can possibly get, and Calvin certainly upset at that whistle. They'd like to avoid that. They want to keep that clock rolling.
Bristol Lewis. Now 2 of 3 from the free throw line. Was the Platteville Male Newcomer of the Year last season. So Probst checks out. He's got 16 points, and Eric, like you alluded to, given the likely foul, it's a platoon system for Coach Guard. You just got to be careful who picks up that foul.
Yeah, you almost did that time.
Falling down in some trouble, but an escape outlet is Ty Horkey.
Yeah, I think he wanted to travel there. Too late to foul now.
Down 9, and they do.
Yeah, you can't foul with 7 seconds, and they weren't trying to foul in the backcourt, clearly, because Pearson would have ended up getting the 5th. They almost had a turnover, but then rather than playing it out, they end up with a foul with the shot clock at 7 seconds, and perhaps Furman was going for the steal.
It's his third. The other thing you have to be concerned about is Winkle misses the front end. Given the MPI, given optics, given an early top 10 matchup, the loser of this game, whomever it may be, you have to make this look as good as possible to the naked eye.
Still 3 possessions.
From deep, Love hits it off the toe, contact down low, and it's called against Calvin. Winkle got his hand in on the board.
Yeah, waving off the putback. But that's 4 on Egekeza.
So Pearson at the line. He has yet to miss from the stripe, 6 of 6. With just shy of 50 seconds to play, and Platteville needing a miracle. A miracle similar to what they were on the wrong end of in their Elite Eight loss to the eventual national champion Shrine. In that contest, Shrine was down 8 in the second half, down 10 with under 2 minutes left, forced overtime and won it on a buzzer beater. Timeout called, a little bit less real estate to work with if you're Platteville in this situation. Down 7 with 49 seconds to play, but they're going to need a couple of empty trips for Calvin if they want a shot at this.
And Calvin has done a good job overall taking care of things here in the second half. 78% on free throws. If they can do that, continue to make those at a high percentage. 16 turnovers is a little on the high side, and they'll no doubt be facing some pressure here from Platteville. But you know, the Pioneers are in a tough spot here with Pearson, who they have to avoid getting that 5th foul. Perhaps you try to get a steal with the backcourt, and then if you don't, you foul. But they certainly can't let much more time expire if they're going to get the ball back 3 times.
And this ATO critical. And it looks like they've rescinded a foul from Pearson. So he's still at 3. So he has a couple to go. Not sure who they reassessed it to, but the foul trouble nonetheless. Olsen is fouled out. He has 5. Pearson, Love, Furman, and Probst each with 3. A trap to start, and a foul called in the corner. Coach Gard hoping that this is on Razorek and not on Furman. If it's on Furman, it's his 4th. Razorek, it's his 3rd. Sends Egekeza to the line. Leading scorer for Calvin with 21 points. Trying to put this game further out of reach. If the score holds, it'll be Wisconsin-Platteville against Cal Lutheran in the 5 o'clock game tomorrow. And in the late game, Calvin against Illinois Wesleyan. What a battle that will be as Pearson converts the layup. Not only from a basketball standpoint, but you have 2 of the largest Division III media pundits. There are 2 teams going against each other. The DataCast against the QCast in the Sikma Championship tomorrow night.
You know, they've been sitting together for the most part. Do they go on opposite ends tomorrow night? How does that work?
You got to think about, is this going to be like a wedding or siblings playing against each other? I know they had a meal before today's doubleheader. I'm not sure if they're staying at the same hotel or whatnot, but do they completely separate themselves for the next 24 hours? How does that? I don't know how that works. We'll have to ask the 3 of them to see how the next 24 hours go before the Sikma Championship game.
Well, no doubt, Q and the Snyders have been remarkable influencers for Division III basketball, and in a ecosystem where information is sometimes hard to find for opposition. Of course, the statistics are wonderful. Katie Gonzalez and her staff do a tremendous job here. You get all the information you need, but to find out a little bit beyond the numbers, so to speak, for opposition programs and for those that have seen teams play to a larger degree, they've really been very influential and very helpful to us in the media.
Well, especially with such a pivotal tournament from the jump, you do have exhibition games, secret scrimmages to go off of, but with a Calvin team losing their star for the season, with Illinois Wesleyan bringing back a similar group, but losing Luke Yoder and Ryan Soroka, makes it a different story. Stolen away, or not done just yet, but Love can't finish. Second chance, and a foul called. Furman heads to the line, trying to chip away as much as possible, trailing by 6, but like you alluded to, Eric, it's getting to hear what's in the coach's mind. How they feel their group is heading into this contest. Hearing who's expected to step up, especially getting their thoughts on the Sikma invite and how it can change the landscape as Furman nails the first. Q does a great job, and not only on the men's side, but had a great interview with the head coach of Titan women's basketball, Maya Smith, along with probably one of his more acclaimed interviews in the entirety of the QCast, his Brady Bunch interview with the top 8 of the Titan women last year. Foul called, and so Winkle shoot a pair. But again, like you alluded to, Eric, doing a great job and helping. I can speak for myself. I'm sure I can speak for you, for Joel, for every broadcaster in Division III basketball, doing a lot to get behind, because also as broadcasters, you can get a lot from a coach's call in the week before a game. However, Q's able to get a little bit more knowing that you're not talking to a member, I don't want to say a member of the opposition, but someone who works for the opposing school.
Yeah, they've been tremendous resources to us, and also just promoting the game, promoting the student athletes, and to give them a platform and a showcase for their skills and their talents that often go underappreciated.
Platteville with a chance to make this a one-score game. Pearson counted on the foul.
One of the Pioneers are thinking about a reversal of fortunes after the way their season ended last year. They're on the verge of turning the tables here on Calvin.
Down by 3, Pearson with a chance to make it 2. A 10-2 run over the last 90 seconds for the Pioneers. Trailing by 11 with 1 minute and 25 seconds to play as Pearson completes the old-fashioned three-point play. And so if Calvin comes back with a split pair, Platteville will have an opportunity to tie with the shot clock off. And a timeout called. Bob Spears got to love this. This is denying the rebound 101.
Absolutely, yeah, that's what he has preached for however many decades. And things are really getting rough here for Calvin down the stretch. They have not executed well. Missed free throws, a couple of turnovers, and that's how it happens. And now just trying to cling to a 2-point lead.
Calvin shooting 23 of 31 from the free throw line as a team. Again, an 11-2 run for the Platteville Pioneers, like you alluded to, Eric, and I mentioned it at that minute 25 mark, hoping, I don't want to necessarily say karma, but like a little bit of get back. Obviously, the magnitude of the game's a lot different. A regular season game against a top 10 opponent, nowhere near an Elite 8 game and a chance to go to the Final Four. However, if Platteville's able to complete this comeback, that has to help them shed that Elite 8 loss from last year. Not a ton. It's always going to be there. It's always going to be motivation. But it shows, hey, we can do this. We can reply.
Yeah, if they can complete the deal, I think that would go a long way in exercising those demons from last year. And interesting that it came against the conference rival of Calvin, the one team picked ahead of them in the MIAA, Calvin number 2, as the returning conference champs, and Platteville the preseason favorite in the WIAC. Furman
to guard the inbound. Harvey's the trigger man. He's allowed to run the baseline. Inbound complete, immediate foul from Pearson, his 4th. So Agakeza heads to the line, All-American versus All-American. Agakeza today, 8 of 10 from the free throw line. That is the second widest margin for the Knights in terms of make-to-miss ratio. Needs to hit both to make it a 2-score game, misses the front end. So Platteville will have a chance to draw this game even if Agakeza can hit the back end. And if he can, I gotta ask you, Eric, if you're Calvin, do you foul as he makes the free throw?
Well, they've been doing a lot of that lately, but my suggestion would be yes if it gets to the right time.
Pearson extends the game.
Not when Pearson has the ball, though. 33 points, all since halftime for Pearson. What an incredible performance.
One of his best performances relative to minutes. Only 4 minutes in the first half, a moot point. Picking up 2 early fouls, and then came back after half and was fantastic.
We don't know for sure when they took that extra foul away. I wonder how many minutes he sat on the bench on the presumption that he was in deeper foul trouble than he actually was. Honest mistake, but he was relegated to a fair amount of bench time even in the second half after he got his 3rd foul, about 4 to 5 minutes in, as they were kind of subbing him in and out for defense.
If it was the first 2 fouls, one of his first 2 fouls that was taken away. And that's certainly critical in this game. He's got 33 now. Now you can't assume that he amasses the same production in the first half, because I'm assuming a veteran coach like Bill Saul would have a plan to stop him if he annihilated him in the first half. However, like you alluded to, Eric, it's minutes on the board.
Yeah, he only played 21 minutes here tonight. Well, the Platteville fans are coming alive again.
Like you said earlier, a shorter trip by a little bit for Platteville compared to Calvin. Football style inbound for the Knights. Harvey again, the trigger man, and a foul call.
Oh, they call it a jump ball. Looked like Love
and they
got
call
a hand
jump
in
ball.
there. And I think Platteville wanted to travel.
Well, no matter what, they get it.
Away.
No matter what, Platteville gets it back. There were 3 possible calls there. 2 of them would favor the Pioneers, a jump ball or a turnover. But now Platteville, with 15 seconds, can take the lead with 15 seconds to play. Looking like they'll hang on for the last shot. 8 to go. Probst in some trouble, and a timeout called by Coach Gard. 5.1 seconds to play. And I'm sure everybody in this building, everybody tuning in, everybody in America can make a prediction on who is taking this shot.
Well, and Agakeze draped over him with 4 fouls. At this point, I'm not sure how relevant that is, but although they would potentially get the ball back, and you'd want him out on the floor for that, but you want your best perimeter defender on maybe the best scorer in Division III basketball here for the final 5 seconds.
Calvin led it 78-67 with 1 minute and 25 seconds to play in this game. Since then, a 13-3 run for Wisconsin Platteville in a stacked Sigma invite. No team wants to go 0-2, and certainly if it's one of these 2 teams, it's going to have a little bit more sting knowing how close you were in game number 1, whether it's a failed comeback from Platteville or it's a blown lead for Calvin. We'll find out in just a few seconds of basketball. Buckle your seatbelts. Platteville goes for the win.
Pearson to inbound. And often they're the most dangerous player on the setup. And certainly I would think that would be the case here.
Agakeza guards the inbound.
Officials are conferring at the scorer's table here.
Trying to be sure that everything is correct.
And remember, double bonus, both teams.
Pearson, the trigger man. Furman, giving, go, run over. They call a block against Wrestler. That sends Pearson, who's a perfect 9 for 9 from the free throw line, to the charity stripe.
That's tough. It's an impossible call for the officials. The block charge. He was awfully close, Wrestler, to being set. But it's a split-second call.
And Pearson misses his first free throw of the game. A heart pounder. The second misses as well. Tapped all over creation. Pearson in the corner for the win. Got it! It's March Madness in November. Ultimate redemption for Wisconsin-Platteville. A double-digit comeback, and this time they're on the celebratory end. Wow.
Well, he could have just made the 2 free throws, but then we wouldn't have had the drama. What an incredible finish after missing the shot. It appeared like he was going to lose the ball in the corner, and yet just gets off a desperation shot. And again, we've talked about it all night, how soft and kind those rims have been tonight. And boy, it sure was for Logan Pearson on that final shot.
If this is the appetizer for this Division III hoop season, the main course and the dessert is going to be immaculate. Let's take a look at that one more time.
Yeah, it reminded me, 1 bounce, 2 bounces, 3 bounces. Remember when Kawhi Leonard hit a buzzer beater against the 76ers a couple of years ago? A game-winning shot, bounce, 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 bounce. Roll in. There's your win. Ball game.
Almost. You could set those 2 shots side by side, and they would be almost identical twins. But now we have our matchup. Ron Rose has his homework to be done.
Well, I guess he got the best case scenario. He got 2 teams that had to empty the tank to pull up this game tonight, and they've got to come back in 2 fewer hours than Illinois Wesleyan. So a distinct advantage there, ever so slight it may be, but you got to imagine Platteville is going to be coming off on cloud 9 coming into that game tomorrow night.
And not to mention, if you're Platteville or Calvin, nonetheless, you lose the ability to live scout. It's a little different in this situation. There's not a ton of superstition because you know you're playing the next day. It's not like the NCAA tournament or a conference tournament where you could be going home if you focus too far ahead. However, you're focused on your game while the early game is going on. But Logan Pearson finishes with 35 points in 1 half of basketball.
Well, Titans can only hope that he wore himself out with that shooting arm tonight, scoring 35 in, as you said, 21 minutes. A remarkable finish after he was a non-factor because of foul trouble in the first half.
And it goes to show you how big of an impact. When you have a player of the year, yes, there's skill. You can look at a stat sheet, and he's more than deserving when you look at the surface. But looking at everything today and the impact that he provided on this program, it just shows, when you look at value, how much he brings to Wisconsin-Platteville, picking up a top 10 win, a much-needed top 10 win, and again, coming back from double digits.
Well, and
you like to tell stories, and this was a story right out of the gate.
Well, and as you had alluded to, it was, the last minute and 23 seconds. They were up 10 last year against Trine and lost it in the Elite Eight. This time, down 10 with 125. The symmetry of those 2 comebacks is just incredible. Remember, that was exactly the last game this team played. It was back in March, but it was the last game this team played. I don't know how much they were thinking about that. I can't imagine that it was necessarily spoken at the end, but it had to be weighing on everyone's mind as they were in that huddle thinking, hey, this could be us in reverse.
Well, also, again, the magnitude nowhere near the same, a trip to the Final Four versus non-conference tournament, but it was a huge point of emphasis for Coach Gard in his interview with Bob Quillman. Usually, and to quote Q or paraphrase him, he said, I don't want to focus too much on this because I don't want to speak down on Trine or speak down on anybody, but he went deep into that comeback and what it meant for this team, and obviously you can't piece things together that can't be pieced together, but if Platteville wins that game, goes on to the Final Four, potentially goes further, wins the national championship, is Logan Pearson in this building to make that buzzer beater and put up 35 points? That's something that I'm sure that the D3 Datacast guys and all the media pundits are going to talk about as this game rolls along. But before we say goodnight, because both you and I, you thought today was good. We got another busy day of college basketball tomorrow. Pearson leading the way, 35 points for Platteville in 21 minutes of work. All his scoring coming in the second half. Probst and Furman, the only other two Pioneers in double figures. A tip of the cap to Uchenna Egekeze, 23 points, went on a miniature run by himself. In the third quarter of the second half, Winkle finishes with 18 points, Ramirzmo with 9, along with Ty Horkey with 9 for Calvin. Platteville tomorrow takes on Illinois Wesleyan in the nightcap. Eric, you, and Joel Swanson will have the call. I'll be downstairs providing some insight from the benches. I'll have the call for the early game alongside Joel Swanson. Can Calvin reply following a heartbreak loss? How does Cal Lutheran do following their late push that fell just short of Illinois Wesleyan? And then in the nightcap, Wesleyan was sitting pretty for the majority of that game after trailing 7-0 out of the gate. Does Platteville level the course following this exhilarating win against another quality opponent? It's certainly going to be a fun day tomorrow.
Well, we talked in the first half. We were worried about not getting a chance to scout Logan Pearson. I think they have a pretty good book on him now.
Yeah. Not only they got a book, they got a trilogy on Logan Pearson as the Pioneers come out to greet their faithful that traveled down from Wisconsin. And with that, that'll wrap up our coverage from the Shirk Center. My thanks to our entire production crew, Katie Gonzalez in the Athletic Communications Department, Tyler Wilson, and our broadcast crew. We're not going anywhere. We'll be back tomorrow night. Coverage for the consolation game between Calvin and Cal Lutheran starts at 4:45, immediately followed by the championship of the Sikma Invitational between Illinois Wesleyan and Wisconsin Platteville. For Eric Stock and our entire crew, I'm Matt Sossler. Have a good rest of your night. Wisconsin Platteville gets redemption, 82-81 over Calvin at the Sikma Invite. Have a great rest of your Friday night.